Hey everyone, I'm Sally Hayes with Matrakas, and we are here today with Kendra Greenberg, and she is an amazing photographer. I'm so excited to talk to her today. Her studio specializes in creating bespoke artwork for busy moms. Hey Kendra, how are you?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here, and I can't wait to get into this really interesting conversation. So, tell me a little bit about how you got into photography.
I've been a photographer since before digital cameras. I like to say like the first instance was driving across the country and trying to capture the beautiful vistas with my disposable camera. And my husband, who was a film major, bought me a camera and I never looked back. Um, but I didn't start professionally until my babies came. And I I wanted a way to kind of earn some money, but then also these beautiful memories that I was making, like the love of capturing that, it really captured my heart. Um, and the last step was getting a job working in the hospital where I would go in and a baby mom had just given birth. Literally, sometimes the baby still had like schmutz on them. And I would be like, "Can I take your picture?" And I'd have to convince her to let me. And then if she didn't buy a picture, I didn't make any money. So I got really good at photographing the moms with the new babies and then making them look beautiful with like different kinds of lighting and maybe a little bit of Photoshop. Um, and that's when I realized like I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to work with moms.
I love that. And I feel like technically, we call you a photographer, you're a photographer, but you do more than that. So, especially when you're working through this transformative time, you're
Yeah.
working with people who are pregnant, you're working with people who are postpartum. Tell us a little bit about how you kind of do the process of your sessions.
Yeah. So I decided, I guess it was sometime during the quarantine when we all sort of had to stop what we were doing and think about life, um, that I wanted to do more than just, meet somebody, take a few pictures and give them all their digitals and just hope for the best. I wanted to create a full service experience that caters to women, not necessarily mothers, but most of my clients are moms, um, who need to be taken care of. You know what I mean? Like, I think about my postpartum journey and how lonely it was with my oldest. And I just try to be the place where a woman can land and know that everything is going to be taken care of. You're going to take care of your clothes. We're going to take care of your makeup and hair. We're going to give you food. We're going to have food for the kids. Um, but more than that, it's a place where it's okay to let your hair down and have a little bit of fun. And I think most people are surprised when they come in for a photo shoot and then I'm laughing and sitting on the floor with the kids. And um, so um, that's what I try to create for my clients. I want to make a place where they can feel safe and have a great time and know that they're going to be taken care of from beginning to end.
So, this isn't like going to Sears and getting your family portrait.
No, I don't knock Sears. Like that's what they do. But I'm trying to, most of my clients are still friends with me. Um, I I like to call it a white glove service. I'm going to come to your house and take pictures of your wall. I'm going to do any kind of Photoshop needs that you have. We're going to make custom albums. Um, we're building your family legacy in a way. Um, I also love to make artwork for children's rooms. Um, there's so many studies out there that show that children who see themselves represented in the home have a higher sense of self, and knowing where they belong. I think it's really important. But I also think it's important for us as moms who are going on this journey of like our bodies are changing wildly and um, we sacrifice and give it all to the family. And this moment of being able to just care for yourself and feel beautiful, like that's my favorite thing to do is watch that self esteem transformation in all of my clients.
So, what would you say is one of the common themes that you have for people to come in? Because I know I'm not one of those people who loves getting my photograph taken, but I love the images at the end, and I'm always impressed how photographers can really take you through this ride and see how you are in a way that's non-judgmental. Whereas, like, maybe I'm going in being like, oh, is my hair the right? Is my makeup okay? I know you're not seeing people that way. So, what are some questions that you ask people to kind of break
Mm.
them open and get them ready for the process?
It depends on the type of session. Obviously, we ask practical questions about like, I like to find out, like, I'll say, what color is your couch? It helps me understand like their design aesthetic. Some people are more modern, some people are more traditional. But I do a lot of nudes. I do a lot of empowerment sessions. I don't, I call it boudoir, but it's more than boudoir because you don't have to be in lingerie. You can be in a beautiful blouse. Um, I also do sessions for women who are on a cancer journey, or maybe they've lost their hair and they want to capture that moment and tell that story. Um, so I ask a lot of questions about how you feel about yourself, and we have to dig in because you can uncover trauma, um, and not realize it. You can also take what feels like beautiful pictures and have somebody not see the beauty in it because they don't love themselves in that way or they don't see themselves in that way. So I'll ask, what parts of your body do you feel disconnected from? Um, what would you love for me to accentuate and love for me to minimize? Is there anything that you're really insecure about? Um, what's your comfort level with nudity? Because I love to do artful nudes. And things like that. And then you start to find out, what people are thinking, because people can't always articulate what they're looking for. You have to sort of find it with them. And then we'll go on to the visual stuff, like, do you like shadows? Do you like bright whites? Do you want jewel tones? Like, what kind of colors are we doing? Because every photo shoot's custom. Um, every single one. People can look at my old work and be like, I love this. Let's do this. That happens sometimes. But most of the time, I'm making it for you. And so we're going to get into the nitty gritty. And then when the session comes, everything is storyboarded, um, and it's up and you can look at it and, we can make adjustments. And while you're getting your makeup and hair done, we can talk about, anything. And then everything's really planned because I have ADD. So if you let me, I will photograph you for days. So I make a plan, we stick to it. It takes about 4 hours.
Okay, wow. So this
Yeah.
is like a big undertaking and
Yeah.
it sounds like a little bit of like a therapy session too. Like really
Yes.
getting in touch with yourself, not just taking a photo, but really accentuating some of those things that you love about yourself and maybe learning to love some of those things that you're not quite the happiest with.
100%. And so most people don't come to me just because they're like, oh, I feel like having a photo shoot. Um, I I usually get moms of second babies. Maybe they had a traumatic birth experience the first time. And then all of a sudden they realize like what their body is doing is so powerful. Um, I get women who are having big birthdays, and they've had some epiphany, or women who are having weight loss journeys, and so I mean, it's literally like I have the best job ever. I get to be with people in these like really pivotal moments. And so, yeah, I think the work is impactful in that way, but also it's like literally we have so much fun. We just laugh a lot, and I'm pretty much a dork. So I try to put my clients at ease because they're mostly they're like just laughing at me because I'm being so sweet.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've seen your photography and I think it's beautiful. And I definitely would say it's empowering. I feel like there's a lot that you capture. There's a lot of empowering feeling, transformation. It's strong but soft all at the same time. Like it's really beautiful and I love it. Tell us a little bit about if you're going to photograph someone who is pregnant, what time should they come in? Because I guess 12 weeks is probably not the photograph and image everybody's looking for, but 41 weeks could get a little tricky too. So what's the sweet spot where you see clients?
Well, I love it when people book me early, but then I will bring them in. between 28 and 32 weeks. If
Okay.
you are having your second baby or your third baby, I mean, we all know that your stomach, your uterus pops out a little bit more the faster the second time. So I just photographed someone at 16 weeks. It's her second baby. Um, she had a really tiny bump, but most of the time it's 28 to 32 weeks. That's the
Okay.
sweet spot. Because after 32 weeks, then you start to. I've had women miss their photo shoots. Someone who had preeclampsia, she had to deliver early. I've also get some people just like their faces get a little puffy, or they're tired. So you want to do it before that happens.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then after baby comes, I know you said you used to photograph people in the hospital. I
Mhm.
imagine that's like a real time sensitive thing, but if they're coming to your studio, they're probably not
Yeah,
hopping.
I think anytime in the first 30 days is fine. There are a lot of newborn photographers who want to get you within the first 10 days because the baby curls in a certain way, like they're still in the womb. And they're largely sleeping, which is wonderful because you can put them in all those cute little positions. I do kind of a hybrid. I do some of that stuff with the newborns. But again, my story is always mom centered. Like I want to tell mom's story. Maybe that's like narcissistic or something. I don't know. I'm only thinking about myself, but I would never just want to photograph your baby without the rest of the story. So there's siblings, there's parents, grandparents. Some people really want their dog in the picture because that was their first baby. So I like to leave room for that to be something that we can do. And if that needs to happen at 30, 30 days, then we have ways of calming the baby, soothing the baby. Baby's in charge. So we just try to keep it warm, make sure they're fed, make sure they're comfortable. And then, and then I'm snapping pictures in between all that stuff.
That's amazing. So you probably see like whole families. I didn't realize people brought their dogs. That's fascinating.
I always like, you need someone to be able to take the dog, bring the dog, and then take the dog. But
Exactly.
yeah, no, we're a pet friendly place. I've never photographed a cat though.
Oh,
So I
okay.
don't know about that.
Not yet.
Not yet.
And then I also know that you put on art shows for your
Mhm.
clients, and their artwork. So can you tell us a little bit about why you think it's important to display these photographs, in a public space and a little bit
Yeah.
about the story behind that?
So ever since the hospital, people tell you their stories. It's such a vulnerable place to be pregnant. At least I felt very fragile. Um, and so, and oftentimes I will get people who just, have realized how important it is that they have this photography and that they're ready to invest because it's so important to them. So they'll tell me that their fertility journey. Um, one woman who had an incompetent cervix and lost many babies, like more than three. And finally, we had her beautiful rainbow baby, and we photographed him every 3 months for the whole first year. So I always thought like this is so fascinating because I'm a mom. I have three kids. I feel like I should know all this stuff, but there's so much to know. There's so much heart in the experience. There's tragedy. There's beauty. Um, there's also a lot of medical stuff. And I just always thought it was really interesting. Everybody's completely, there's no two stories that are the same. So I thought in the beginning, I was like, I feel like I would love to start a podcast. I wouldn't even know how to do that. I think it's probably easier now. But I landed on this idea of doing an art show where everybody's artwork is up and it's coupled with a magazine, and I have their birth story next to their image. And then we are having a panel, we have a panel of speakers, um, different modalities. So doula with home birth, um, midwife, an author who helps coach moms with self-care. Our moderator had some traumatic birth experiences of her own, but she's also just really funny, and she's gonna she makes everything so easy to talk about. And I just thought it would be really, really interesting to have this conversation because we all know, or at least most of us in this field know, that the maternal mortality rate in this country is very high. And nobody seems to know why, but I feel like the answer is in the conversations. If they're all things that we wish that we had known about giving birth. Like, why didn't my mom tell me I would have armpit fat? Or why didn't, it's like random stuff that you just didn't know because nobody mentioned it. And then the amount of women who have shared stories of loss that they in regular life don't feel comfortable talking about, but then feel so isolated, like they're the only ones. And it's not true. Um, so that was why I decided to start that because I think it's really important that we all kind of, pull back the curtain. And I know there are a lot of podcasters already doing this. And I just thought it'd be interesting in the context of an art show.
I love that. I fully agree with both those things. I think it's so empowering to tell your story. And also, I think the key component to telling that story is to tell it in a safe space where
Yeah.
it can be received. And you've cultivated the audience that this would be received really well by. Um, I've also heard many, many of my clients tell horrifying stories. And I think part of it is giving people a soft place to land where they can express themselves
Yeah.
is definitely transformative and coming together in community. So
Hmm.
I love that you're doing this. I'm sure when people think of photography, they're not thinking it's this deep, but what you're
I,
doing really is.
I mean, I didn't either. I really didn't. I started because it was fun, make a little money, you know. But what I realized is that I was connecting with these mothers in a way where could see myself, you know. Um, Without going too deep into my journey, I definitely had very simple births. Like it was fine. But I mean, maybe that's what all the moms say that I've been meeting. It's fine. I'm fine. I am fine and I'm happy and I have a beautiful family. But there are things that you grieve, when you don't get to have the kind of birth that you thought that you would. And then the postpartum journey for me was particularly difficult. And it's been such a blessing to be able to sort of heal that part of myself by talking and sharing with other mothers. And so, yeah, I started a whole business just so I could like be around these moms and hold their babies and be like, come on, here, drink some, have some orange juice. I'll take care of you, you know?
I love that. I love that. It's such a powerful work that you're doing. And I'm just so excited to know you. And every time we talk, we have like a 3 hour conversation, which is always super fun.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for your upcoming art shows and panels and really community is really what it is,
Yeah.
birth story community. So can you let people know where to find you?
Yes. You can go to my website, which is kendragreenberg.com, all E's. There's no U in Greenberg. Or you can go to my Instagram, which is where I put most of my current stuff. Kendra Greenberg Photography is my handle. Um, and then you can DM me or you can fill out the interest form on my website. Um, and I would love to talk to you. I'm in the San Fernando Valley, but I do have clients from Glendale, Pasadena, down in Anaheim. People come from all over to my humble studio to have some empowering pictures.
I love it. It's amazing. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today. Definitely go check out Kendra's Instagram because the photography is gorgeous. And I'm always happy to talk to you. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.